It's become clear that there are very few people more polarising in the modern music industry than the 1975's Matty Healy. The creator of some of the most popular music of the past decade is also the key figure in some of the most viral controversies people have seen in recent times. From dangerous political gestures on stage, to being sued by an entire music festival.
The kiss between the lead singer and bassist Ross MacDonald led to Malaysian authorities banning the band, describing their actions as disrespectful.
Healy has been front and centre for a whole host of crazy decisions that have caused him some major backlash on social media. He's been called out for using slurs that many consider to be unacceptable and been involved in feuds that have led to him being roasted live on stage.
This goes out to a white man that watches ghetto gaggers and mocks Asian people on a podcast.
But even his biggest supporters can't suggest that these controversies are something Matty has grown out of, because 2024 has ended with a bang for the 1975 lead singer. Any terminally online Twitter users are probably aware of rapper Azealia Banks and her reputation as one of the most needlessly brutal people you can find on there. She's raised eyebrows on many occasions for what some consider to be the unacceptable manner in which she speaks about other people. Why exactly am I telling you this? Well, amazingly, on the 3rd of December, it was Mr. Healy's turn to go head to head with Banks, and this time it was about to go nuclear. When Azealia took it upon herself to randomly insult the physical appearance of well-known pop star Charlie XCX for absolutely no reason, Matty decided that it was his duty to step in and stand up for his best friend's wife. A lively back and forth ensued, which seemed like nothing out of the ordinary for Twitter in 2024, until Banks hit Healy with a low blow, taking it upon herself to throw some pretty nasty jabs at his fiancée Gabby. In the head of the 1975's frontman, this was a step too far, and he unleashed a brutal message levelled at Banks which read, "Talk to me like that, I'm not gonna side-eye you at an awards do, I'll fucking slap you so hard I'll get a Guinness World Record for the highest a rat some calls a wig has ever flown." Quickly realising he may have gone way too far in his anger, Healy contacted Banks privately to make a formal apology with the hopes of smoothing things over, but in her mind it was way too late for that because she was going for the jugular. $1 million in damage. This is what Banks was demanding following the altercation. A cease and desist letter was levelled at Matty from her team, claiming threats of violence and damage to her professional reputation. Fans were quick to take both parties' sides, but whether or not Healy is forced to pay the substantial sum remains to be seen. What's even crazier is that this wasn't even the first time Banks had taken a swing at the 1975 singer, because the whole feud actually began because of what some considered to be an extremely controversial podcast appearance. During one section of the Adam Friedland show, Healy made the questionable decision to take part in what some considered to be unacceptable jokes in relation to popular rapper Ice Spice.
Ice Spice, you know who that is?
Nick doesn't know who it is.
She's like
one of the Spice Girls.
Yes, that's
she's
right.
like this rapper.
She's the rapper
that
from
has
the Spice
one
Girls.
Inuit Spice Girl. Just this chubby Chinese lady. Yeah, I rap her music.
Many considered his behaviour to be less than acceptable, leading to him trying to mend some bridges with a mid-concert apology.
Me joking got misconstrued. It's because I don't want Ice Spice to think that I'm a dick. I love you, Ice Spice. I'm so sorry.
Despite this, it wasn't enough to convince a certain person of his desire to make things right. You guessed it, Azealia Banks. And she told Healy exactly what she thought of him in a social media post. Interestingly, this was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of things that happened on the Adam Friedland podcast, as Matty got himself into further hot water when making strange comments in relation to some pretty graphic adult material.
I was already flustered, I was like dressed as Guy who is jacking off, so I had like untucked shirt, and like you said, I think it literally was like Ghetto Gaggers was on the TV. It's just somebody just getting like brutalized.
Following this, Healy faced substantial backlash online, with certain people jumping in on his behalf to protest that all of these comments were merely jokes and it shouldn't be taken so seriously. Unlike the 1975's appearance at the Good Vibes Festival in 2023, Healy and his bandmates once again hit the headlines following their controversial performance, which led to the entire festival being cancelled. In an attempt to protest what he believed to be the country's ridiculous laws in relation to LGBTQ equality, he made his feelings pretty clear.
I do not see the point of inviting the 1975 to a country and then telling us who we can have sex with. And I don't care anymore. If you push, I'm gonna push back. And if you want to invite me here to do a show, you can fuck off.
Mid-set, Healy and good friend Ross McDonald made the decision to take things to the next level by elevating an already controversial kissing segment from their recent tour by engaging in what was a very clear statement from the band. It sent shockwaves through the festival and the country, with the repercussions of the stunt being felt by concert goers immediately.
Alright, we gotta go. We just got banned from Kuala Lumpur. I'll see you later.
The following day, the Malaysian government revoked the festival's licence, causing the entire rest of the performances to be cancelled. Although certain fans and members of the LGBTQ community thanked the band for their highlighting of what they believed to be a country needing serious change, others however were not so complimentary, with some people accusing Healy and McDonald of acting in an extremely irresponsible manner and not truly thinking about the consequences of their actions for people living as members of the LGBTQ community in Malaysia. The situation didn't end there though, with some far more serious ramifications becoming clear not too long after. The 1975 were officially being sued by the organisers of the festival Future Sound Asia for the whopping sum of nearly $2.5 million. They claimed that the band had broken a number of rules they had previously agreed to when accepting the invitation to perform at Good Vibes, and suggested that Healy's and McDonald's actions had caused the agency serious financial losses due to the cancellation of the festival. And still to this day, the lawsuit remains unsettled. But even something as serious as a multi-million-dollar lawsuit didn't hit the headlines as hard as a seemingly random 1975 performance in 2023. It's no secret that the 1975 at their very best tour featured some truly unique and divisive moments, often related to its surreal art-like nature. This was a known aspect of the show, but what Healy decided to do during an intense performance of Lovett If We Made It definitely was not. Deciding to throw up one of the most dangerous political gestures in world history was described as ill-advised by even some of his biggest fans. Although others did jump in to suggest that quite clearly the salute was supposed to be satirical in nature due to the content of the song, and was obviously aimed at mocking Donald Trump and Kanye West, whose names are both featured in Love It If We Made It, with the latter unfortunately being closely linked with anti-Semitic remarks. Many people made the point though that no matter whether the gesture was supposed to be satire or not, it was completely unacceptable, with it being described as dead wrong by some, and others even saying no amount of context will ever make this behaviour okay. And when it comes to onstage behaviour, Matty Healy is quite clearly no stranger to making the headlines. It will come as no surprise to anyone to hear of the 1975 singer's history with drug addiction. It was unfortunately something that had plagued his life for a long time, but fortunately he can now say he's been sober for a number of years. That wasn't always the case though, and his substance abuse issues famously came to a head around 7 years ago in a now notorious show at Transmit Festival 2017. Fans in attendance could tell immediately something wasn't right. Healy seemed erratic on stage, and it was clear that he was dealing with some very serious personal issues. And it all appeared to culminate in a performance that would be remembered for all of the wrong reasons. Following this difficult to watch show, the band took it upon themselves to stage an intervention with Matty in an attempt to get him some much needed help. And years later he recounted the events that led to him getting clean.
The guys kind of called me out one night at dinner and they were like, listen, dude, like, you know that we know what's up. Like, and I think I ended up saying something like, well, if you want me, this is me.
This is how I cope.
Everyone's gonna have to deal with this shit. You need to respect my drug addiction. And I was like, oh my God, not only was that the wrong thing to say, that was so cringe.
Healy can luckily say he was one of the more fortunate music stars to have reached rock bottom with serious drug addiction and lived to tell the tale. But still to this day, there is no doubt that this now infamous Transmit performance will remain one of his most controversial. Music lovers all across the world seem to be in agreement that Matty Healy is a pretty unique case when it comes to going viral over the years. What they are definitely not in agreement on is whether this is a good or bad thing. Many fans of the band often say that others need to lighten up and that his antics are merely childish jokes not to be taken too seriously. Others, however, see the worst in him, labelling Healy with some of the most damaging descriptions imaginable. What you can be confident in though is that the years will continue to tick on. The 1975 will continue to release hugely successful records, and no doubt Mr. Healy's somewhat questionable decision making will consistently generate some of the most viewed tabloid headlines.